We begin today the Gemara at the bottom of Daf, Pei Gimel Amud Beis, 5 lines from the bottom of the Amud where it says, Boye Minei Ravim Rav Nachman. So before we learn the Boye inside, this is based on the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanon in a case where a person gives his wife a get and he says, you're divorced and you're mutter to the whole world, chutz. Besides so-and-so that you're still Eishes Ish and you're not mutter to him. Rabbi Eliezer says the get takes effect. But Chachamim say, no. The union of a get is krisis, completely severed with no remnants of Eishes Ish. And if he's telling her that she's still asa to someone, there's no get b'chlal. So now based on this, the Gemara has the following shaila. Rav asks Rav Nachman, what if a person gives his wife a get and says, Hayom iyat ishti? As he's giving her the get, he says, so today you're not my wife, but l'machar at ishti. Tomorrow you're still my wife. So is this a proper krisis or not? Mahu, what's the halacha? Now the Gemara explains that this shaila here will be a shaila according to both opinions, Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim. To boil Rabbi Eliezer, this is a shaila according to Rabbi Eliezer, and to boil Rabbanan. And it's a shaila according to the Rabbanan. To boil Rabbi Eliezer, it's a shaila according to Rabbi Eliezer. Kind of come Rabbi Eliezer Hossam. When Rabbi Eliezer says in the Mishnah, when you give a get and you say you mutter to the whole world besides so and so, that there they said, Rabbi Eliezer that is said that it is a get. Ella, the reason is because the lemanda kashari lo'ilam. When the husband gives the get to those that he says she's allowed forever. There's no strings attached to that. There is one person she's not allowed to still, but for those that she is, it's forever. So maybe there, Rabbi Eliezer says it takes effect. But over here, if he's telling her, even if you're allowed to the entire world, but it's only today, tomorrow you're still my wife. So then he never really gave her a full heter in this get here. Or maybe there's no difference. Just like Rabbi Eliezer says that if you leave over an aspect of Eishes Ish, the get could still be a get. So over here as well, when he's telling you today you're not my wife and tomorrow you are, so he's leaving over an aspect of Eishes Ish, it doesn't matter that the get takes effect. That's the shaila according to the Rabbi Eliezer. To boil Rabbanon, same we could also, or similar, we could have a shaila according to the Rabbanon. Ad kan lekom to Rabbanon hasam. When do Rabbanon say when you give a get and you say that you still asa to someone, that it's not a get, that's because she's never completely disconnected from him. For that one individual, she's still usher and there's still an Indian of issues here. So there could be no get. But over here, when he tells her, today you're not my wife at all, iyat ishti, given the paska. Once today she's not his wife, so that's it. She's not his wife, and then tomorrow she's not going to become back again his wife. Once it's over, it's over. It can't. There's nothing to connect them back to become an Eishes Ish. She's going to have to do a Kiddushin again. So the Gemara, Basa the Boye Hada Pashta. After this was asked, so Rav Nachman was Pasha to Boye, and he said, Mistavre, it's logical to say, like the last point we said here, Bein le Rabbi Eliezer, Bein le Rabbanon, whether according to Rabbi Eliezer's opinion or according to the Rabbanon's opinion, Kivin the Paska. Once he gave her a get and says, today you're not my wife, so that's it, she's not an Eishes Ish anymore. So then it remains that status forever. You can't say, well, tomorrow you're going to become an Eishes Ish again. How? There was no Kiddush in here. That's how most Rishonim learn the Maskan of the Gemara. That Paska means that it's over and it's all over forever. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braise, Hareze Gittin Amanas Shetinasi Leploini. Person gives his wife a get, and here this is an opposite condition that we were talking about until now. Here, the condition the person made was that you should get married to so and so. So then Hareze Loitinose, she should not get married. Now we'll see soon in the Lashon of the Gemara what it meant Loitinose here, to not get married to who. We'll see in a second. But this is what the Braisa says: she should not get married. But vim this is, if she got married, then Loitetse, she does not have to leave her husband. Okay, so we're going to have a few different ways of explaining what this Braisa here is saying. My Ka'amar, what is the Braisa saying when it says don't get married, and if she does get married, she doesn't have to leave? The Tanai was that she should get married to that individual, right? So in this case, what is the Braisa saying when it says that she should not get married, but if she did, she doesn't have to leave? So Rav Nachman says, this is what the Braisa is saying. She should not get married to that individual that her husband made a condition that she should get married to him. Why not? Because Shema Yoimru Nishayim Naistim B'Matana. People are going to say, look, they give their wives as a gift to one another. It looks very bad. Person's divorcing his wife and saying you're getting married to him. It looks like that this is like a deal between them. I'm going to give you my wife as a gift. So therefore, you can't fulfill this condition and go and marry that person. Now, v'misis la'acher. But then what the Brisa was saying is, but if she goes and marries someone else, once she got married to someone else, loy teitzei, she doesn't have to leave that husband. Frag the Gemara, how could you say that this is the pshat in the Brisa? That you're saying that if she married someone else, she doesn't have to leave him. Now, yeah, there's a gzeira here that people shouldn't say that you're taking a wife and giving her as a gift to someone else. Now, because of this, loy mafkinon minei, we're not going to force her to leave this person that she married. And we're allowing over here this woman that's really still an Eishes Ish to get married to someone. The condition was not fulfilled. The condition, what was the condition of the get? That she's going to marry so and so, and you're saying that there's a gzeira that she can't marry that person. So the condition is never fulfilled. So how can you say that if she now goes and gets married to someone else, that once she's married to him, she could remain married to him? She's not divorced. The condition was never fulfilled. So Elam Rav Nachman switches what he said. No, what the pshat here in this Brisa has to be as follows. Hachi ka'ama, this is what it's saying. Hareizu loy tinasi loy. The Brisa is telling you that she should not marry that individual that the first husband, when he gave her the get, said that it's on condition that you marry him. So you can't go ahead and do that. Because again, Shema Yom Nishayim or Nishayim Noislim Matana. It looks bad. It looks like he's giving his wife as a gift to someone else. But now this is loy. If she goes and fulfills this condition, even though it looks very bad, but if she fulfills this condition and marries that person, loy teitze. Once she did it already, so then she doesn't have to leave. Chachamim made a gzeira not to do so. It doesn't look right, but nevertheless, b'di'evet, she doesn't have to leave. To mishum gzeira loy mafkina. Just because it is the decree of Chazal, but b'di'evet, she doesn't have to leave her husband. But not. So that was Rav Nachman's second pshat in this brisa. But on this as well, Rav asked on this pshat, sounds like the way you're understanding this brisa is, Lo Yehuda lo tinase. Chachamim are saying in this brisa, there's a gzeira, that person that the first husband said you should go and marry him you can't marry. Doesn't look good. But hola achet tinase. It sounds like though what you're saying is that someone else she could go and marry. But the question is, how could you say such a thing? In order for the get to take effect, she has to fulfill the condition and marry only one person. That was what the condition was. So if she's not, so she shouldn't be able to get married to anyone. So how could Rav Nachman say that she only can't marry that person? Says the Gemara, to argue and say as follows. No, maybe she still will fulfill the condition. She could get married to someone else because there was no time frame for this condition. What was the condition? That she has to marry so-and-so. Okay, but doesn't have to marry that person right now. In between, meanwhile, she can get married to someone else, and then afterwards she'll get divorced, and then one day she'll go and marry that person. Okay? And therefore, it will come out that she was really divorced. And now, are you going to say that's really taking a big chance? You're relying that one day later on she's going to marry that person that she's supposed to marry, that the get should take effect. But meanwhile, she didn't fulfill her condition yet. Meanwhile, she's marrying someone else. So the Gemara continues and explains, well, maybe we're not concerned that she won't fulfill the Tanai. Well, the pligas aleh that Rav Yehuda kamedamisle. And Rav is telling Rav Nachman, maybe you're comparing this case to another case that you yourself spoke about, Rav Nachman spoke about, and you argued with Rav Yehuda about this. And this is also a case where you have a condition. So we learned the following machlekes. When a person makes a neder with a Tanai, Kainam eini b'shina hayayim. Person makes a tanai that my eyes should not, or not a tanai, sorry, a neder that my eyes should not sleep today, but that neder only takes effect in ishan lamachar if I'll sleep tomorrow. So is he allowed to go to sleep today? Amar Rav Yehuda says al yishan hayayim. He shouldn't sleep today because shema yishan lamachar, because maybe he'll sleep tomorrow. Once he'll sleep tomorrow, so you fulfill the condition of the neder taking effect, and then it'll turn out that if he slept today, he was over on his neder. So he shouldn't go to sleep. So in other words, we're concerned that he may not be careful about this tomorrow. But Rav Nachman says, no, we're not concerned about this. Yishan hayayim. Let him go to sleep today. And he made a neder, but the whole neder was only with the condition that he'll sleep tomorrow. But and we're not concerned that he's going to sleep tomorrow. So he'll make sure not to sleep tomorrow, so there'll be no neder. So what's the Gemara suggesting here? That maybe we could say over here it's the same thing. When a person makes a t'nai, you have to marry so-and-so, she can delay fulfilling that t'nai to a later time. In between, right now, she'll marry someone else. And one day she'll fulfill that t'nai. And we're not concerned, and she'll do it, just like over here he says, he'll make sure not to sleep tomorrow. She'll make sure to fulfill that t'nai at a later time. Says the Gemara, you can't compare the two things. This is all Rava asking on Rav Nachman. How could you compare that case to this case here? Over there, it depends on that person. It's up to that person to fulfill this tonight. If he wants, he can prick himself with a thorn. He's not allowed to sleep the next day. Once he slept the first day, so the next day he can't sleep, because then it's going to come out that he's being over on his nether. So it's in his hands to make sure that he doesn't fall asleep. He won't sleep. But over here though, are you going to say that it's in her hands to go and get married to someone and then get divorced and then fulfill her t'nai of the get to marry someone else? It's not in her hands to get divorced. That's going to be up to her husband that she's married to now. So how could we say that she could marry someone else and we're relying on the fact that one day she'll fulfill the t'nai of the get? So therefore Rava says the pshat of the brayso we brought before is as follows. Again, we're talking here about a person that gave a get, and he says the condition that you must marry so and so. So what's the brayso saying? She can't marry that person, and she can't marry anyone else either. She can't marry that she can't marry that person that he made the condition because because it looks like that his wife is giving as a gift to someone else. Doesn't look good. She can't marry anyone else. Because in order for the divorce to take effect, she has to fulfill her condition, and she's not fulfilling the condition. But now, then the Brayso says, if she went and got married to that person that the condition was that she should marry, so then she doesn't have to leave this marriage. The Mishum Gzeira, since the fact that she's not allowed to marry him is only because of Chazal, that it doesn't look good, but b'diavad, if she married him, she doesn't have to leave her husband. But now la'acher, if she married someone else, not that person teitze, then she will have to leave that marriage because the boy lekayum litnoi. She has to fulfill the condition of the get, and she didn't fulfill it, so she's still an eshes ish. Tanya kvasei Rava. We learned in another brayso that clarifies that this is the pshat here, like Rava said. Harezu loy tenasi loy loy v'loy la'acher. And then in this case, she can't marry not that person that the t'nai was to marry, and not anyone else. And then this is loy teitze. If she ends up marrying that person, then she doesn't have to leave. But la'acher teitze. But if she married someone else, she will have to leave because the condition was not fulfilled yet. Ton the Rabbanu, we learned in another brayse, hareze gitech. A person says to his wife, "This is your get," and here he makes the following condition, an impossible condition: al menashe tali l'rakia, the condition that you climb up to heaven; al menashe terdi l'tahim, and the condition that you go down to the abyss, or you go down to the under the water somewhere. Or al menashe tivli kana shel dal damas, with the condition that you will swallow a reed that's 4 amas big. Al menashe tivi li kana ben kufam, you'll bring me a reed that's 100 amas long. Or al menashe tavri es hayam agadol beraglecha, on the condition that you'll walk through the Mediterranean Sea by foot. So in all of these conditions, ain't a get. It's not a get because he made a condition that she can't fulfill, so the get can never take effect. No, but he doesn't want, by him saying this, true, but by him saying this, he's showing, according to Rabbi Yehuda, this is the Tanakami, according to the Tanakami, he's showing that he befedish wants this condition to be fulfilled. And if it's not going to be fulfilled, it won't be a get. Taisus here actually brings that there's another place in the Gemara where it discusses this, in Bava Metzia, and there it says the same thing, and it says there that it will be a get. So Taisus asks, what do you mean? Over here we're saying that it's not a get, and Taisus answers, well, if B'derech Nes she'll climb up to Shemayim, or she'll fulfill any of these conditions, then it will be a get. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema says, Kazeh get. With such a kind of condition, this is a get. And he explains, Klal Omer Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema said the following Klal. Kol Tnai she'yef shalei l'kaimai. Husband sets a condition that's impossible to fulfill naturally. B'soifa, in the end, you can't do it. V'hisn olav mitchilasa, in the beginning, when he gave the get, he made this Tnai with his wife. Einoi ela kemafliga b'dvarim. He's just telling her something that's totally ridiculous, and he just wants to cause her pain by telling her this. But he can't mean it seriously, and therefore she's going to be divorced. The kosher, and the get is kosher. That's the machlokes. When you make such a kind of a t'nai, does it take effect or not? Omer Rav Nachman, Omer Rav, halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. We pass like Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema that this t'nai is meaningless. Omer Rav Nachman v'Yitzchak masnisan nami deke. That we see also in the lashon of the Mishnah, the Ktani. What does it say? Kol she'efshel. This is another Mishnah which is brought in Bava Metzia. So there it says, Kol she'efshel l'kaima b'seifa. When you make a t'nai that could be fulfilled at the end, v'hisna olav b'tchilasai, and you set this t'nai in the beginning, So tnai kayim. So since it could be fulfilled, so it's at night. But so I understand from that Mishnah, if it's a tnai that you can't fulfill, so tanoi bottle. So the whole tnai is meaningless. Shema mina. So we see there from that Mishnah as well, like Rabbi Yehuda ben Taim's opinion. The Shaila was asked in connection to this. How about a person that says to his wife, this is your get, but on the condition that you eat basa chazer, meat that's not kosher. So mahu, what do I compare this to? Do I say that he's asking her for something that's impossible? So it's the same point like before, that you'll climb up to the kia? Or no, this is different. Maybe over here, physically, she can eat it, even though there is a issur. So the Gemara brings a machlekes. Amar Abaya says, this is the same point like before. He's asking her to do something which he knows is impossible, so he's just trying to cause her pain. He doesn't mean it seriously. Rava says, no, in this case, we estimate the husband's das of what he's thinking when he's saying this differently. This is something which is physically possible to eat. So therefore the husband meant that let her eat it, and velakya, true, she'll get malchus, she'll get a punishment for eating it, but since this is something which is physically possible, so when the husband sets such a condition, it is something that he meant as a real condition, and therefore she won't be divorced unless she fulfills it. So now the Gemara is medayik. This is all a shaila regarding Rabbi Yehuda ben Taim's opinion before. So now the Gemara is medayik, the words that Rabbi Yehuda ben Taim said before, when he spoke about an impossible tonight. So la Abaye, according to Abaye, klal, Rabbi Yehuda ben Taim said a rule that there's a klal, anything that's impossible, it's not a get, it's not a condition for the get. So what did he mean when he said this klal? La suya basa chazer. He was coming to include not only the case that it spoke about in the Braisa clearly when it's physically impossible, but also this case when al pi halacha you can't eat it. So that's also included in this klal, that's impossible. Now, Rava, on the other hand, according to Rava, Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimi, when he said it as opinion, he also used a term that comes to exclude. He said kazeh get. That because he made an impossible condition, so then that's meaningless. So what does the word kazeh come to say? Lemuti basa chazer. He was saying it's only if it's something that's physically impossible. But if it's only something that al pitayra you're not allowed, there we understand that the husband did mean his tonight seriously. So the Gemara asks on Rava from the following brayse: Meisvei hareze gitech. Person gives his wife a get and says al manas shativ ali leploini. This is your get on condition that you have a relation with so-and-so. And that means you have a relation with so-and-so, a person that's not married, whether you have a relation with him without marriage, which is usher, or you have a relation with him, you go and get married to that person, beheter. So in Eskayim at Tnai, if you fulfill this condition, harez a get, it'll be a get. But vimlav, if you don't fulfill the Tnai, ain't a get, it won't be a get. This is a Tnai that you could fulfill. If he tells her, al menas shaloi tivli la'aba olavicha, that the get will be a get on condition that you don't have a relation with my father, with your father. So ein chayshishin. So then the get will be a get, and you fulfill. Obviously, you fulfill this condition. This is a isser, right? To have this is an erva, not to have a relation with my father or her father. So ein chayshishin. But here the point is, we're not going to be concerned shema nivlo lehen, that maybe in the future, maybe she will have a relation with them. So the get will take effect. That's what it says in the Braisa here. But v'ilo, now the question on Rav is al menas shativali la'aba ula avicha, using this example, the same example that the Braisa brought regarding my father, your father, that the husband made a condition that this is a get al menas that you will have a relation with my father or your father. In other words, he's setting a condition which is a isser, similar to basa chazer. Like Katani, it doesn't say in the Braisa that in such a case it will be a get. Why not? According to Rava, that's what it shouldn't have said in the Braisa. The Braisa should have said much more than what it said in the Reisha. Almanasi, you'll be boil so and so. It should have said the Chiddush that Rava said here. The Almanasi, you'll be boil my father, your father, and still the get is a get. The get again, according to Rava, that's a serious tnai. That's what it should have said over here. That's considered to be a tnai. That if you'll fill it, then it'll be a get, and if you don't, it's not a get. So la Abaye niche, according to Abaye, the reason why it doesn't say this tnai is because, like Abaye said, that's called an impossible tnai. So it's point the whole tnai is meaningless. But l'Rava kashya, according to Rava, why doesn't it say this case? Rava will answer you, it's not the same as a tnai of basa chazer. Bishleim basa chazer, when a husband sets a tnai that you're going to eat basa chazer, so over there we consider it a serious tnai because efshad achla, it's all totally in her hands. She could go ahead and eat it. And velakish, true, she'll get malchus, but she can go ahead and do it. No one's stopping her. Ploini nami. In the case of the reisha of this braisa, when the husband says to her, your get will be a get if you'll be boil so and so. So you may ask, is that in her hands to go and be boil so and so? It includes another human being here. It's not something that she can do without him. So it's not even in her hands at all. So isn't that considered to be something impossible? The answer is no, it's not impossible. She can pay him off with money and she can get him to be with her. And Rashi says that could be whether in a way which is usher, without marriage, and if he won't agree, then even with marriage, he'll pay her and she'll get married to him. So over there, it's not an impossible t'nai. Ela abava avicha, but if a person would make a t'nai with his wife and say, you're divorced if you have a relation with my father or your father, bidida kaima, this is something which is in her hands, she can decide if she will do this or not. Nihidi of the yisuda, even if she's ready to do such an isra like this, but abava avicha mi of the yisuda, is the father or her father, his father, going to be ready to do such a issa like this? So this is totally not in our hands. So it's different than what Rav said. Rav's opinion was only regarding basa chazer. That's something that's considered to be possible in her hands, but not this. Okay, now the Gemara, based on what we saw here from this brayse, now the Gemara goes back to the two expressions that Rabbi Yehuda said. One is to be marbet, and one is to be mamayit, to include or exclude. So the Rav, according to Rav, klal, when Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimah says a klal regarding an impossible t'nai, lasuya abba vavicha. That klal means not only the cases that it said there in the Brayse, which are physically impossible, but it also comes to include here this t'nai of abba vavicha, since it's not totally in her hands alone. So that's something that is an impossible thing. Kazeh, when Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimah said only kazeh, the t'nai is not going to be a t'nai. That comes to exclude a condition of basa chazer, even though it's an isser, but it's totally in her hands. So therefore, it's considered to be a valid t'nai. Now, la Abaya, according to Abaya, klal, when Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimah said that there's a klal for any impossible t'nai, la suya basa chazer. The term klal is including. What is it including? Basa chazer. That's also considered to be impossible. And kazet, when he uses the term that excludes, and it says only this, do I say that there's no t'nai here? Lumute pliny. That comes to exclude, that is a case where he says you're going to be boil pliny. In that case, when it comes to be boil pliny, it doesn't have to be be'isr. She can pay him off and it could be be'ata. She can get married to him. So therefore, that's not an impossible t'nai. Meisvei. Now, there's a shaila here that was asked from this brayse on Abaye's opinion. Person gives his wife a get. So here the brayse is clearly speaking about this case. He says you're going to be divorced if you eat basa chazer. Or another example of a isser v'moisa zara, if she's a Yisraelis, and he tells her al menashe teichli betruma, you're going to be divorced on condition that you eat truma, which is also for as well. V'moisa nazira, or if she was a nazira, so a nazir is not allowed to drink wine, and he tells her al menashe tishti yayin, on condition that you drink wine. So the Brayser clearly says in all these cases, niskayim atnai, if you fulfill the condition that is a get, then it's a get. V'imlav in a get, otherwise it's not a get. So according to Rava, this is exactly what Rava said, that when it's a isser, so then the husband meant the t'nai seriously and she has to fulfill it to be divorced. But la Abaya kashya, Abaya considered this to be the same like an impossible t'nai, and the husband didn't meet it at all seriously. Abaya will answer you, Mi savris divri akol. Do you think this brayse here that you're quoting goes according to everyone? Divri akol, that is. Hamani rabbanani. This brayse here is not Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimah's opinion. This brayse here goes like the Tanakama and the brayse that we quoted before. Rabbanan said that every impossible t'nai, even to climb up to Shemayim, is also a real t'nai, and only if you fulfill it, b'derech nes, will it be a get. So this brayse is the Rabbanan. But now the Gemara addresses here another question. What did we say before? That you could that Rabbi says that when you make a t'nai al manasta, you can eat basa chazer. So then she can eat the basa chazer. She'll get malchus for that. If she eats it, then she'll be divorced. But the question now is, how can you say such a thing? This t'nai should not be a t'nai at all, because v'teipik shouldn't we say the following rule that applies here? The masne al mashakasav b'teire. He's making a condition to do something against what the Torah says, and the rule is v'chol al masne al mashakasav b'teire. Anytime you make a t'nai that consists of going against what it says in the Torah, t'nai batel. You can't make a condition to go against what it says in the Torah, so there's no t'nai in the first place here. So not because true, this is, you might say that this is something which is physically possible. So it's not like Rava holds, it's not like saying go up to Shemayim, but on the other hand, though, it's going against Torah. So the rule is such a t'nai doesn't exist b'chlal. Ravada Berei Ravike says this doesn't fall under that rule. What's an example of when we say that if you make a condition against Torah, your condition is worthless, t'nai bottle, let's bottle. Kagay, for example, a person gets married to his wife, and there are the responsibilities and obligations that a husband has towards his wife, which it says in the Torah, she'era ksusa v'inasa, that he has to provide her the clothing and the food and the time that he has to be with her. And now he gets married to her, and he says, we're going to be married with the condition that I won't give you any of these things that the Torah says I have to provide for you. So to who ka'akar? So here he's marrying her, and he is saying that I'm not going to fulfill my obligation that the Torah says. So he's uprooting himself what the Torah is saying. Then that's not a marriage. There's no or actually it is a marriage, and the condition is just worthless. The condition means nothing. You can't be married and then decide your own conditions for the marriage. The Torah decided what the conditions of the marriage are. But over here, when a person gives the get and he sets a condition, if you're going to eat basa chazer, iyu ka'akra, the husband himself that's giving this get and is making this condition, he's going to be over on this isser. He's not being over on the isser of eating this basa chazer. So therefore, that's by him making this t'nai, he's not being over on the isser of the Torah directly. So he's not. So this is a t'nai that can take effect. But the Gemara doesn't accept this answer. Maskefla Ravina asks on this distinction here. Klum ka'akra ihi. But why is she uprooting this isser of the Torah? If she would go and eat basa chazer to be divorced, why is she doing this? El l'kiyumi l'tnai didei. That's in order to fulfill the t'nai that he set. So ishtakach, if so, it comes out to iyu ka'akar, that he's the one that's causing that this isser of the Torah should be uprooted. So Ravina is saying it's the same point. You can't make a t'nai that consists of uprooting what it says in the Torah. There's no such a t'nai. Your words are a stam dvarim b'teilim. So the question still remains. So Ravina says that we're sticking to the point here that this is not going against Torah. This is not a t'nai going against Torah, but the explanation is different. The explanation is when do I say that if you make a condition not to follow what it says in the Torah, so your t'nai is worthless? Kagoin, as we said before, in the case where he marries his wife and he makes a condition that he's not going to give her what the Torah says you have to give in a marriage. The vadai ka'akar. So over here, in this case, he's definitely uprooting it. He's saying we're going to be married with a different set of conditions that the Torah sets. So the marriage it's definitely going to be uprooted. So here we say that no, that t'nai is worthless. You have to be married with the conditions of the Torah. But here a person gives his wife a get, and he sets a condition: if you can eat basa chazer. Mika Amala, did he tell her that you must eat that basa chazer? Is he tying her in a situation where he's going to be with her in a way which is not al pi Torah? He's giving her a get and giving her this condition to be over on the Torah. Loy teichel v'loy tegarish. Let her not eat that basa chazer and she won't be divorced. He's basically telling her that you can't be divorced. If she decides to go ahead and be over this anyways, then she'll be divorced. But you can't say that he is a masna mashakasa b'Torah. It's not vada. He's not forcing her to be over on what it says in the Torah. Okay, going back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek again spoke about a case where a person gave his wife a get, and so there were two scenarios in the Mishnah there. One was that he told her balpeh, told her verbally, I'm giving you this get, chutz, but still you're going to be mutter to the whole world besides one person. So the Chachamim say it's not a get. But what do Chachamim say in the Mishnah though? It's not a get, but what do you have to do now? You have to take back the get and give it again. And give it again and tell her properly, this is your get, without adding that you're still going to be mutter to so, it's still going to be asa, that is to so and so. So you have to take back the get. That's what the Mishnah said. So Kate said, Yasa yitlane mena, you take it back and give it again. Now man Tana, who's the Tana that's saying that you have to give the get over again? Chizkiya says, Rab Shimon ben Elazar. This is Rab Shimon ben Elazar that said a similar thing in the previous Perek. Over there it spoke about a case where a person gave his wife the get, and when he gives her the get, he's telling her, I'm giving you a document of a loan. He's not even telling her that it's a get. So if you say that, then the get, what you gave is not good. So what did Rab Shimon ben Elazar there say? Over there was a machlokes. Over there, the Tanakama, the Mishnah says, you don't have to take back the get and give it a second time. You just have to, after you gave it, tell her what it is, that it's a get. And then it connects to the first nesina that you already did. Rav Shimon ben Elazar says you have to take it back and give it again. The Tanya, Rav Shimon ben Elazar, so just like Rav Shimon ben Elazar says that there, when you tell her that you're giving her something else, not a get, the same thing over here. When you made this ridiculous condition, or you said that she'll still be asa to someone, so you're going to have to take back the get and give it again. That's one pshat here. But now the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan said, Afilatei Rebbe. We could even say that our Mishnah here follows the other opinion there, which is Rebbe. So if again, the Rebbe over there said you don't have to give the get over again. But the Rebbe will agree that over here in this Mishnah, you do have to give the get over again. And Rabbi Yochanan says, the L'chain Omar, the one from you has said. Who's this the L'chain? So Rashi here says this is an expression that Rabbi Yochanan used on Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana came from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and he came to learn by Rabbi Yochanan, and he used to ask him many questions and tell him many things. So Rabbi Yochanan used to refer to Rav Kahana with the name the L'chain, the one that came from you from Bavel. So he said that there's a difference here. Shani Hacha, in our case, when the husband gave the get, and he says you're divorced. Elamai, he said you're still going to be asa to someone. In such a case, you have to give it over again. Because she got this get and she acquired it already, it had already an effect. For what? This kind of a get, even though Chachamim said she's not divorced, but it has an effect, it has a reach get, it has a koyach of a get that she'll become possible to marry a kohen. So that means that the first nesina had a certain effect already. So that first nesina is over. You want to now have a proper nesina where it should be a real divorce, you have to do a new nesina again. In the previous case, when he tells her that I'm giving you a shtar chayv, when it's really a get, there was no get at all. So therefore, when you say now, this is your get, it's just continuing from the previous nesina which never took effect yet. Here, once it took effect for one thing, so then you're going to have to do it over again if you want it to take effect properly. Then the Mishnah said, Kosvei b'toicha, according to the Chachamim that say that such a kind of get is not a get, so you can give it over again. But that's only if you verbally said that you're still going to be mutter to someone. So then you can give it over again. But Kosvei b'toicha, if he wrote this condition into the get itself, that passes the get, and you can't use this get again. Amar Rav Safra, so Rav Safra said about our Mishnah, Kosvei b'toicha itnan. When it says in our Mishnah Kosvei b'toicha, it means it was written in the get. If it was written in the get, then the get is going to be possible. So the Gemara asks, what's Rav Safra clarifying here? Pshita. It's obvious. That's exactly what it says in the Mishnah. Kosvei b'toicha itnan. That's the words that it says. So what is he adding here? So the Gemara explains. Ma'al deteime, I would think to say as follows. Ha nemili. When is the Mishnah making a distinction whether he said this condition verbally or he wrote it into the get? La'acha teirif. If it was written after he wrote the tairif of the get. What is the tairif of the get? We learned already before. The tairif of the get is the main information of the get, the name of the husband, the name of the wife, and the date of the get. Now, after that was already written into the get, then he came and made a condition that she's not going to be divorced to the whole world. There's someone that she's still going to be asa to. So if that happened after the get was written, here there's a distinction if it was said verbally or it was written into the get. If it was said verbally, then you can reuse the same get. But if it was written inside the get, it passes it and you can't use it again. But if this all happened before the get was written, so then I fill out pen nami puzzle. Then you would say that it doesn't make a difference if it was written into the get or even if it was said verbally, the whole get is going to be possible. Because then, if it was said before, so then you could say the whole get is being written with this t'nai that it was said lechatchila that she's still going to be asr to someone. So even if it wasn't written into the get was written with the wrong condition, so the whole get becomes possible forever. That's what I would think. Kamash Malon, that's why Rav Safra said that it doesn't make a difference. If it was only said verbally, but it's not this condition is not written into the get, you can use this get again. You can give it over again. This is Rav Safra's pshat. But now Rava argues on this. Rava says, Lo Ishano. When did it say in our Mishnah that there's a difference if this is a condition that was said verbally or written into the get? Elalacha tairif. If this condition was said or written after the whole get was written already. But if before the get, the main parts of the get was written, then there's no difference. Afila al peh, even if he comes and sets a condition verbally that you're not going to be mutter to the whole world, nami pasul. The whole get was written based on that, what was said, so the whole get is going to be pasul, you can never use it again. Gemara concludes, we see how Rava, what he said when you actually give a get, and the Rava was very careful about this because Rava follows his opinion. Rava would say to the Kosvi Gittin, to those that were writing a get, Shasku Shsuki, Lebal. Make sure that the husband keeps his mouth closed. You shouldn't start speaking and saying anything that will ruin the writing of the get. Until you write the main part of the get. Because if he's going to say any condition before, it's going to passel the get completely, and you won't be able to use it again. So we see that Rava was very careful about this, because Rava holds, even verbally, it also creates a problem for the get.